Alrighty, yo, what up, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I want to welcome you guys back to the Legit Shoot podcast here with your Monday Night Raw review for November 4th, 2019. Alright, we're talking about Monday Night Raw tonight, and we're finally on the road to Survivor Series. We're finally getting a build for this show, man. And, you know, I don't want to come on here and shit on Triple H and NXT because what they've been doing is great. Alright, I love NXT, I love Triple H, I love what they're doing, man, but, you know, I feel like WWE is forcing a lot of garbage, which, how do I put this? You had that fantastic show on Friday. One of the best, probably the best main roster episode all year. Talking both Raw and SmackDown, man. That was a fantastic show. And a lot of people were thinking about, all right, how is WWE gonna, continue this momentum? How can you build on top of this? And I specifically said on the Friday Night SmackDown review, what WWE needs to do is they need to keep this momentum going. All right, they need, for the writers of Raw and SmackDown, they need to look at this and they need to see, all right, what can we take to make both the main roster better? Because I've been saying this, the main roster has more talent than NXT. This is that the way NXT books its talent and the way Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live book their talent is two completely different ways. And the main roster suffers from bad booking. All right, well, NXT, they make their superstars look like stars. Alright, why do you think Finn Balor is back in NXT? Redefining who he is. Because NXT is what made Finn Balor into a star in WWE, not the main roster. And then when he got up to the main roster, he faced almost everybody, but he never really felt like a true star because WWE never truly booked him like a star. And now he's back in NXT, redefining himself, and look at how he's treated. Alright, but then you come over to, what Raw did tonight. SmackDown was great. And I'm telling you, SmackDown, the show we got on SmackDown was not the show that was planned. All right, and there's been a lot of talk about what happened with Saudi Arabia. I could have easily made a video about this afternoon, but I chose not to because really I just didn't feel like doing it. AJ Styles specifically, he was probably the most vocal about this. We saw people like Zack Ryder, and Luke Harper post videos and saying how, basically they were unhappy with what happened. Zack Ryder specifically said, never again. I know there was some talent that was unhappy with the whole situation. But, and there was reports that Vince McMahon got into a huge argument with one of the leaders of the Saudi Arabian government because supposedly WWE hasn't even been paid for the last show they put on in Saudi Arabia. So they usually do 2 shows a year there. And they did, Super Showdown back in June. And they did the Crown Jewel just, last week. And WWE hasn't even been paid yet for the show here for Super Showdown. So they're still waiting to get paid from the Saudi Arabian government. And they just completed their second show there. So I don't know the whole terms of the deal when Saudi Arabia is supposed to pay. But they just completed the show in Crown Jewel. So if I'm WWE, I'm not doing another show in Saudi Arabia until I get my money. Even though these shows are already garbage, and WWE, it's WWE's fault for signing a 10-year agreement to do these shows. But it is what it is. But AJ Styles was on his Mixer account the other day. That's where he streams video games. He basically was like, all the reports were very over exaggerated. All right, there was no hostage situation. There was no weapons. There was nothing like that. Basically, to put in the most simplest terms, not to, go on a whole 10-minute speech about this. Basically, to put in the simplest terms I can, what happened is, this town was supposed to leave right after Crown Jewel, but they were not able to get on the plane because supposedly, I guess there was like a track, some kind of vehicle that was blocking the plane, and the driver of the, who had the keys to that vehicle was not there. I guess he had gone home for the night, which makes no sense. Why would you park a vehicle in front of a plane that's set to depart, and so they couldn't get a hold of him, and they couldn't move the plane. There was like no way they could move the plane. And then eventually, they were able to get the town on board. And then there's supposedly some kind of fuel issue, mechanical issue. And AJ Styles said he spoke to one of the pilots, and it was just very confusing. But but it wasn't as big a deal as people were making it out to be. And then supposedly another issue happened is basically too much time had passed, and then people that were supposed to run the plane decided to go home. All right, so that was the main, but there was never anything major like that, and it became so late that the superstars weren't gonna be able to stay at the airport anymore. So then they had to find them hotels, And the thing about it is, as this was going on, Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn were already flying home. Hulk Hogan, these superstars were already flying home on private jets. Lesnar was long gone because he appeared on SmackDown on Friday. And, it was arranged, WWE did arrange a separate flight, which I think had superstars like The New Day, Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt. They had a separate flight arranged for them, because WWE was hoping to get these superstars back to Buffalo in time for SmackDown, which they didn't. Luckily, Triple H was able to, it was an emergency situation, Triple H was able to get the roundup, NXT superstars like Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, they were, etc. They were able to get these superstars. They took an emergency plane from Florida all the way up to Buffalo, New York. I heard they got to the airport at around 7:50, and they had to have a huge police escort just to get to the show on time. So probably when we saw Triple H and Shawn Michaels backstage at the beginning of SmackDown on Friday, they had only been at the arena for a couple minutes at most. All right. But that's basically that's the whole deal with Saudi Arabia. I just wanted to cover that real quick since I didn't cover it in a separate video earlier today, just in case you guys were wondering. But still, in my opinion, man, first of all, like I said on Friday, it's WWE's fault. They should have never booked a Saudi Arabia show to take place a day before they had a live TV taping. If you're talking about a house show, then that's less of a deal. You can cancel the house show, and you can refund tickets, you can reschedule. House shows are not as big a deal. They cancel house shows all the time. When they had the wild card rule, they were canceling house shows left and right. But when it comes to a live TV taping, you can't really cancel that. WWE almost never cancels their live TV tapings. It's very rare. The only occurrence in recent memory that comes to me is when we had that huge snowstorm a couple years back. I think it was like 2015, and they had to film Raw from WWE headquarters. They had like a small Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar interview segment, but mostly what they did is just show pay-per-view matches, like the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. But I just want to talk about Saudi Arabia real quick, get that out so you guys knew what was going on there. All right, just wanted to cover that, get that out of the way. All right. Honestly, hopefully in the future WWE will. I'm just glad that the WWE superstars are back home safe. That's why you gotta be careful the way you hear on Twitter, because there were so many stories, so many rumors going around, and no one really knew what the hell was going on. All right, but luckily everyone's back home safe, and we can all hopefully move on from this. It's gonna be interesting to see how WWE does this, going forward, because this is a 10-year deal, and you had this big an issue this time going around. Who knows what's gonna happen in the future? All right, and the WWE still hasn't even gotten paid by Saudi Arabia, so it'll be interesting to see how that story develops. But still, getting to Raw tonight, SmackDown was such a great show. It just seems like, I know for a fact, WWE was paying attention to SmackDown. They saw the positive response. There was almost no negativity. All right, almost no negativity from SmackDown this Friday. Everybody loved it. We all loved it. I had probably my first full out positive review of SmackDown on Friday, man. So if you guys haven't checked out the SmackDown review, really quickly, that thing is live on the channel. Just want you guys know I have a little bit of an eye issue right now. My eyes keep bothering me, so just know you might see me scratching my eyes a little bit. Uh, but also, before we get into the show tonight, I just want to say thank you to Souriax. Alright, if you guys noticed, on Friday and now tonight, I now have layouts for our reviews. So definitely, I'm very hyped for that. Souriax, he's gonna be designing layouts going forward. We have one for SmackDown, and we have this one for Raw, and we have one for AEW reviews. All right, and NXT, of course, and pay-per-views. So that is exciting. I'm happy that we have that. But Monday Night Raw tonight, there was a couple good things on this show, but honestly, it was just it felt forced. Some of the stuff we saw tonight, it felt forced. And specifically, I would have to say that most to Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins. Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins, that's a WrestleMania worthy bout, a WrestleMania worthy feud. It's a dream match of some people, of lots of WWE fans who watch NXT in the main roster. Right? This last Friday, we got a dream match, one of my personal dream matches. We got Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan for the NXT Championship. And it felt so fresh, and we were all excited about that. So what does WWE go back and do? They saw how positive the reaction was. They tried to do the same thing, the same exact thing they did on Friday, and they do it here tonight. They give us Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins for the NXT Championship. And, there was more of a story going into this because of what happened, especially with the segment with with Seth Rollins and Triple H, which we'll talk about in depth in a little bit, because I think Seth Rollins may be going back to NXT, and I feel like I know how they're going to do this, but it's going to be interesting. I think the big factor on if Seth Rollins goes to NXT is made possibly his relationship with Becky Lynch and his status as a top babyface on Monday Night Raw. But, back to what I was saying about Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins. As much as that is a dream match, as much as we all want to see this match, it felt forced. It felt forced. It seemed like WWE, they saw how positive the response was on Friday to Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole, and they just tried to do the same thing with Seth Rollins here on Raw. And it didn't work as much. As excited as I was to see this match, I didn't have that same, overwhelming, yes, I'll use that term. I had an overwhelming excitement and curiosity going into the Daniel Bryan Adam Cole match, because honestly, it was a dream match for me, and I had no idea what was going to happen, really. Alright, but the Seth Rollins Adam Cole match tonight felt way more predictable. It felt way too forced. It felt like WWE was trying too hard to repeat the success it had on Friday with SmackDown. And that's just the honest truth. That's just the honest truth, man. And we always talk all the time about how we want SmackDown to have this seriousness, and how we want SmackDown and Raw to have a little bit of what NXT does, and that will make it more and more, successful. But still, at the end of the day, this was disappointing. Outside of what we saw with Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch, and a little bit of the Brock Lesnar Rey Mysterio stuff, and that great segment between Triple H and Seth Rollins, the rest of the show felt garbage. One thing I will say will be interesting to see is how does the main roster respond? Because we've seen NXT attack SmackDown, even though most of the SmackDown roster wasn't there. But we've seen NXT attack SmackDown, and we've seen NXT attack Monday Night Raw now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. Will the main roster invade Full Sail University? Will we see, Sasha Banks, Carmella, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins? Will we see superstars like that invade NXT in the next couple weeks? It would make sense. NXT has invaded both SmackDown and Raw the last couple weeks. So it would make sense for the main roster to try to get a little bit of payback by attacking them down in NXT. But we'll have to wait and see. But, let's get into the show. So the show started off with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar came out, other than the NXT invasion, Lesnar's the biggest, story right now in the company. Because we saw on Friday, Lesnar did decide to quit WWE or not WWE. He quit SmackDown. He quit SmackDown, and once again, I feel like it's gonna be interesting to see. I haven't read anything on how SmackDown and Fox, how they've responded to this. Because remember, Fox told WWE before the draft that they really wanted Brock Lesnar, and they got him for about a month, and that's it. Now, and I understand Bray Wyatt's Universal Champion, and you can't have two titles on Raw. On SmackDown. So instead of having Bray Wyatt on Raw, they decided just to have Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. And I talked about this a little bit. You guys remember a couple weeks ago, right after the draft, we had that big trade, that blockbuster trade that everyone was talking about, how Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were being sent to SmackDown, and Raw would get 2 future draft considerations. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman came out tonight, and Paul Heyman basically said Brock Lesnar's contract states he cannot be fired for anything that he does. He can do almost whatever he wants. So it's like Lesnar can do anything and not be held responsible for it. No one who's gonna stop Brock Lesnar, right? But basically he said Lesnar used his leverage, the leverage in his contract, to use one of those draft picks from the Alexa Bliss Nikki Cross trade to get over to Monday Night Raw. And I when I saw this, I was just like, wow, because it felt lazy. Yes, Paul Heyman is great on the mic. I can listen to Paul Heyman talk all day, but to be honest with you guys, this felt. Not the explanation they gave felt like, what? Like, really? That's the explanation you guys are going to give for Brock Lesnar being back on Monday Night Raw? It makes sense in a way because it's Brock Lesnar. We all know Brock Lesnar doesn't give a damn about anybody. We know Brock Lesnar, doesn't give a crap what anybody thinks. Brock Lesnar's going to do whatever he wants, when he wants, and, no one's going to stop him. It's Brock Lesnar. All right, but still, when you look at it in that way, it's still a lazy explanation. It really is. They could have done way better, in my opinion, explaining why Brock Lesnar is moving to Monday Night Raw. Legit, all they told you was, oh, Lesnar doesn't care. Lesnar can do whatever he wants, and he can move to Raw just because he's Brock Lesnar, and he has leverage. He's special. Paul Heyman said, oh, Brock Lesnar is special and you guys are not. Then, after explaining why Lesnar is now back on Raw, he explained how Lesnar is on Raw to challenge Rey Mysterio. Alright? To challenge Rey Mysterio. And the thing is, Brock Lesnar just moving brands like that, bring over the WWE Championship to Monday Night Raw, it's a slap in the face to Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston lost the WWE Championship in 7 seconds. Right? And he held that title for 6 months. 6 months. Just to lose in 7 seconds because it's Brock Lesnar. It was disrespectful. We still, Kofi, the way Kofi's been carrying himself ever since then, it's like Kofi doesn't care. It's like, oh, I lost. Move on. He hasn't mentioned it on WWE TV. He's just like, we heard that WWE is planning to mention it eventually, but now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you bring up Kofi losing the WWE Championship now. Because he lost the title and Lesnar's already moved on to Raw. So Kofi can't, even if you were to build Kofi back up, alright, it wouldn't be for the WWE Championship. It would be against The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and there's nothing, no chance in hell that you would ever have Kofi Kingston beat The Fiend. There's nobody that should be beating The Fiend, especially Kofi Kingston right now. So it's like, Brock Lesnar moving the Raw with the WWE Championship makes Kofi Kingston, and what happened to him look dumb. Look even more retarded than it did before. And I absolutely hate it. I hate him, man. But, basically, Lesnar talked about how he was here to find Rey Mysterio, and that's what he did. He left the ring after that very angry. He went backstage, and this was kind of funny. He walked backstage, and he was talking, or we see some poor, production guy just sitting there, just minding his own business. Lesnar comes up to him, slams his head onto the top of a construction crate, and the way it bounced off, I was kind of concerned that guy had a concussion. Lesnar's absolutely screaming at him like, "Where is Rey? Where is Rey Mysterio, man?" I was like, "Damn, like, calm down, homie, calm down." But then, we come back from break. Lesnar's still walking through the arena to the backstage area. We see another poor schmuck. It looks like he's working security doors or whatever. And Lesnar asks him, "Where's Rey?" And the guy is scared for his life. Lesnar's continuing to yell at him. The guy points, say, "I think he's over there near a car." And then we see Lesnar walk over to a black car. He breaks the door off its hinges, and then he pulls out the guy, but it's just some random old schmuck. Alright. This would lead us into our first match of the night. We had Charlotte Flair and Natalya versus the Kubaki Warriors. I'm going to be honest with you guys really quick. I predicted this last week. During the review, and I'm scared. I'm scared for real. Because I said, WWE, they want to make Charlotte to look like the greatest WWE women's superstar of all time. Even though she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't deserve it at all. Alright? But they're trying to make Charlotte look, as the strongest women's superstar of all time. What's one thing that she hasn't done? She's won 10 women's championships, even though none of those reigns are iconic. None of those reigns are memorable because she did nothing during those title reigns. Except when she beat Asuka and ended Asuka's undefeated streak at Mania. But still, it was still garbage. Still garbage. What's one of the one things she hasn't done? The only title in the entire company that she hasn't won in terms of female titles is the Women's Tag Team Champions. And why? Vince McMahon loves his blondes. Vince wants to see that white and gold strap on Charlotte. And, it's going to come at the expense, once again, of Asuka. Charlotte's going to defeat Asuka once again. Charlotte's already taken her undefeated streak. And, Asuka still has never recovered from that loss. Never recovered. Even though she won the SmackDown Women's Championship later on in the year, she never recovered. Because remember, Charlotte took the SmackDown Women's Championship from her 2 weeks before Mania the next year. Absolute garbage. And now Charlotte and Natalya are going to take the Women's Tag Team titles. It's eventually going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen before or after Survivor Series, but it's going to happen. Get ready for it. Charlotte's going to be a Grand Slam champion in the next couple months. It's going to happen. And like I said, WWE spitting out that garbage about the Saudi Arabia making history with the first ever women's wrestling match in Saudi Arabia. Alright, it's becoming garbage because WWE's pushing it down your throats. They showed the same exact video package that they did on SmackDown regarding the match tonight again on Raw. Like, why? If we care, we'll go watch the package on YouTube. Why do you have to show us that crap again? Why? What does it do for us at the end of the day? It's absolute garbage, man. Absolute garbage. And then, we move on from that. Man, we have the match itself. This match went most of the first hour. It wasn't a bad match. It really wasn't. But I just don't care about it because I knew what was going to happen. And the thing about it is, Charlotte and Natalya, they've only been together 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And they're already facing the tag team champions. And they're probably going to get a tag team championship opportunity sometime in the near future. Alright, especially with the ending of this match. Alright, we saw, I hate this. Charlotte's moonsault is terrible. And as much as I was happy for Natalya, because Natalya's the veteran in the WWE locker room, Natalya's moveset is so basic. There is nothing special about anything she does in the ring. She doesn't do anything to impress you. I'm not saying she's a bad wrestling, but her style is so bland, and it does nothing at the end of the day that you're just sitting there like, bruh, why do I gotta go through this? It's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But we see Charlotte's spear is also terrible, man. Like, so many bad moves. Charlotte's movesault's bad. Charlotte's spear is bad. And Natalya's clotheslines are cringe. And what's worse, probably more than anything, is Charlotte's, not Charlotte, but Natalya's sharpshooter. I absolutely cannot stand it. Cannot stand it at all. But we see them win. Like I said, we're gonna see a women's tag team title match between these two teams in the future. I hate it. I legit hate it, man. Those women's tag team championships have been buried since Sasha and Bayley were forced to drop them to the Iconics, and they're not getting anywhere close to better. You know, the only reason why they're putting Charlotte in this storyline to begin with is because they have nothing else for her right now. Nothing else for her, because you're not doing Becky versus Charlotte. We've already seen that enough times. So what else could you have Charlotte do? You're not gonna make a mid-card women's title. There's no point to that. So you're gonna put Charlotte in the women's tag team division, because why not? We always need to have Charlotte as a champion. Vince loves his blondes, like I always say. Absolute garbage. But after the match, almost immediately after the match, while Natalya and Charlotte are getting their hands raised, they're celebrating, we see Brock Lesnar come out. Brock Lesnar comes out with Paul Heyman once again, and he walks right over to the announce table, and I knew exactly where this is going, because we see this before with Lesnar. Paul Heyman has a mic in his hand, and he starts going after Jerry Lawler. Alright? He asks Lawler multiple times, where is Ray? Where is Ray? Jerry Lawler, you're the king. You know everything around here. Where is Rey Mysterio? And Jerry Lawler, he's just standing there. You could tell he was in fear. And then Paul Heyman put an absolute bomb, man. He probably had to get Paul Heyman's. Paul Heyman had to get Lawler's, approval before saying that. Lawler says, if you don't tell Brock Lesnar where Rey Mysterio is right now, you're gonna end up dead. You're gonna end up dead this time, and you're not gonna survive a heart attack at ringside, something like that. Because you guys remember years ago where Jerry Lawler had the heart attack at ringside, scary moment. He almost died from that. So that's a force. What Paul Heyman said. But I'm going to assume in this situation that Lawler gave him permission to use that line beforehand. But we see Lesnar, he's about to attack Jerry Lawler, and then we see Dio Madden. We see Dio Madden step up to Lesnar, and I kind of like this. Dio Madden's kind of huge too. He's big. He was bigger in size than Lesnar. But Lesnar just punches him a couple times to the gut, puts him in the F5, puts him through the table, and that's that. Right as it looks like Lesnar's just going to go back after Lawler, we see Rey Mysterio run out with what looks like a foam pipe. It didn't look like a real pipe. It looked like a foam pipe. Alright? Something that a kid may use. We see Mysterio starts beating Lesnar down with the pipe. Alright? Endless amount of time. Lesnar is trying to sell this left leg injury that he suffered because of it. Because afterwards he was walking back to the locker room, struggling to get there. And then we see Mysterio. He takes Brock's WWE Championship belt and hits him across the head with him, knock him to the floor. Then when we come back from commercial, we see Rey Mysterio. He challenges Lesnar to a match for the WWE Championship at Survivor Series. Basically, Mysterio wants to get payback on Lesnar for what he did to Dominic. It makes sense, and then we see Rey Mysterio said, I'm going to take, what did he say specifically? I'm going to take, the WWE Championship from you the same way you try to take my son from me. That's basically the way. There was nothing special about this at all. Mysterio wants to get. But if you look at it, I don't know, ligament balls, whatever. I don't know what the hell your name is like that for. But if you don't like what you're seeing, you can easily leave. No one's going to tell the truth in this community the way I do when it comes to wrestling. But still, you're free to leave Ligma anytime. But back to what I was saying. We're getting Lesnar versus Mysterio. Alright? And I feel like the reason why we're getting this now specifically is because Bray is on SmackDown. And he's the Universal Champion. And Lesnar was basically forced to move to Raw because of what happened at Crown Jewel with Lesnar. I mean, not with Lesnar. With Rollins and Wyatt. But if you think about it. Because I thought specifically what they were going to do is they were going to have Rey Mysterio win the woman, not the women's, but wins the men's Royal Rumble. And that would lead to him challenging Lesnar for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Instead, we're getting this match now at Survivor Series. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't see Rey Mysterio. I don't know how he's going to be able to beat Lesnar at Survivor Series. I don't even know if you can giving Mysterio all the weapons in the world. I still don't think he has a chance. Alright? I expect Lesnar to destroy Mysterio at Survivor Series. And it's interesting because, we're not getting, I think a lot of us were not interested, but I think a lot of us thought we were getting, because we know we're getting this NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown. And, the way I see it, I thought we were getting, Adam Cole versus Bray Wyatt versus Lesnar, in a triple threat match. And what was going to happen is to keep The Fiend looking strong, The Fiend would take out Lesnar, but The Fiend would end up pinning Adam Cole in the end. Because there's no way, they're going to have Lesnar lose to The Fiend. Alright? But, I'm not saying I'm not interested in this feud, because I am interested in it. But I just don't see where they're going to go. I really don't see where they're going to go with this. I really think Lesnar's going to destroy Mysterio at Survivor Series. Unless it's, and I don't know, it hasn't been announced right now, but in terms of stipulations, right now it's a normal match. There's no way Mysterio is going to defeat Brock Lesnar in a normal match. There's absolutely no chance in hell. Alright, unless he goes for like 1,000,000 low blows. There's like no chance. Alright. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not against the match happening. I want to see. I'm kind of interested. You have the David versus Goliath storyline. Can Mysterio overcome the ultimate odds, get payback for his family, and become WWE Champion once again? It's going to be interesting. I feel like they should have saved this going to WrestleMania, especially with Lesnar being back on Raw. But they're not. They're going with it right now. And it's going to be interesting to see, can Rey Mysterio get the job done? I don't think he can right now, but it'll be very interesting to see. Alright, moving on. We had Andrade and Zelina Vega going up against Sin Cara and, what's his name? Her name, Cartina? I don't really care for her name. I don't really care at all. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. I'm getting really tired. But this match, nothing was special about it. They're still doing this feud with Andrade and Zelina going up against Sin Cara and the mask and all this. Yes, Junior, this is still live. Nice to see you, bro. But the way you look at it, let's be serious here. Andrade should be in the main event. And especially with what they're teasing with Seth Rollins, you should be building main event superstars. Because you're going to need main event talent. Especially with Brock Lesnar back on Raw. Because Lesnar, he doesn't have, there's not many people on Raw that he hasn't faced. Not many. He's faced most of the names on Raw. So there's names for him to have some fresh matches again. I would like to see a Lesnar versus Andrade. Lesnar versus Aleister Black. You know what I mean? But honestly, this match was so bad. Like, this feud, I don't know why these two are feuding. I don't know why. Like, no one cares about Andrade and Zelina going up against Sin Cara. And I don't know who this, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I don't know how, this Carolina, whatever her name, she is awful in the ring. Like, I have no idea if they dressed up, like Alicia Fox and told her to wear this ridiculous costume. I don't know if that's what's going on, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. Carlina sucks. She needs to quit WWE, either spend a lot more time in the Performance Center or wrestlers that's not for her. She is not good in the ring at all. She is slow. She's unathletic. Doesn't do anything special. She's legit like, a D plus version of Sin Cara as a female. All right, she is not. She doesn't do anything impressive in the ring for me. Anything impressive in the ring at all. But getting back to it, Zelina actually picked up the win. We saw Zelina. I forget what her finisher is, but she did a finisher. What up, Boss Fan Forever? How you doing? Thanks for coming to the stream. What was I saying? But yeah, we see it was Zelina. Yes, it's Jessica. Yeah, I don't forget. I don't forget these things. I'm pretty used to calling you to Jessica. Man, but can we get Andrade in the main event, please? Like, stop with these garbage side stories. Same thing with Buddy Murphy. Because I know Zelina has a new finisher, whatever it is. It was nothing special. But, speaking of Buddy Murphy, we saw Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander again tonight. Someone please explain why we got this match tonight. Why did we get Alexander versus Buddy Murphy? How many times have we seen it on the main roster? How many times have we seen it? We've seen it in 205 Live. We've seen it on the main roster. We saw it before the draft. Now we're seeing it again after the draft. Like, come on. Yes, these two have good matches together, but the whole point of the draft is supposed to give us fresh matchups. You should be building up your mid-card division and your main event scene. Right? Who's going to challenge AJ Styles? Who's going to who's going to challenge Brock Lesnar and, etc. It makes absolutely zero sense to me why they continue to do this bullcrap. Why? It's not helping the shows at all. Doesn't matter how many good matches Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander have together. Doesn't matter at all. What matters is the quality of the matches and, what does it mean in terms of storytelling. Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy, there's no story there. Yes, there was a story there back in their, 205 Live days, but now there is no story. There's no point. It's just lame. It's honestly lame. Move on from it. Get Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander some fresh matchups. Matchups that will actually, help determine the rankings on who should be challenging AJ Styles next for the United States Championship or Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Alright? But, alright. So now we're going to get into the Seth Rollins segment. Alright, this is what I'm going to say. You guys notice I've been pretty calm tonight. Haven't really went off on anything, at least not yet. But, one sec. Sorry guys, I just want to yawn on camera. This is okay, this is what I'll say. If you guys saw my Crown Jewel review, I absolutely went to town. I went to town on Seth Rollins and my thoughts on him. Seth Rollins is a babyface. Seth Rollins as a babyface Universal Champion has been absolute garbage. Or it was absolute garbage. Alright, the guy wasn't as great as he was in the ring, the guy wasn't believable on the mic. And his character was just so bad. So bad. So, now Seth Rollins loses the Universal Championship at Crown Jewel. Right? And everyone's wondering what's next for Seth. Is Seth going to go back after Brock Lesnar again and try to take the WWE Championship away from him? But now, Seth Rollins has no idea. He has no path. He can't go back after The Fiend because The Fiend's on SmackDown and he's on Raw. There's no way that would work in Seth Rollins' case. So Seth comes, and I've been very, like I said, I've been very hard on the guy. I've been bashing him a lot lately. But Seth Rollins, he comes out to the ring, and basically he says, I know there's a good amount of you that are very happy that I lost the Universal title to The Fiend. And then he then said, the crowd emphatically said yes. And then he said, I don't care. Seth Rollins said, I don't care. So right there, they could be potentially planting seeds for a potential Seth Rollins heel turn. Because I think that's what he needs more than anything. Him as a babyface has run its course. Honestly, he needs to spend time as a heel, redefining himself. You know, rebuild, redesign, reclaim. Was it that his motto? When was the last time he said that? Now he's still busy with saying, burn it down! That, you know, it's not helping him at all. It's not helping him at all. It's making him look like more and more like an idiot each day. And that's just my opinion on that. But, you know, Seth is talking about how he has no path. He doesn't know what's next for him. And he knows we're on the road to Survivor Series. And, you know, WWE's dealing right now with this invasion angle from NXT. So, he's like, I'm keeping myself on my terms. But basically then, and this is when the segment gets good, we see Triple H come out. And I love Triple H on the mic. The guy always knows what to say. Always knows what to say. So basically, Triple H said, basically he knows what the future holds for Seth Rollins. You know, he must retrace the steps of his past. Very similar to what Finn Balor was saying on WWE Backstage and in his amazing promo last week on NXT TV. Alright, basically, you know, Balor said basically to get back where he feel like he needs to be, Triple H said that, my bad. Triple H said that Seth Rollins has to reestablish himself, retrace his steps to his past. So basically, Triple H flat out said it right there that he wanted Seth to come back to NXT. And a lot of stuff was going through my head due to this segment. The segment wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. You know, Triple H is great at what he does. He's great at making very serious things. Jessica, I am a big Patriots fan, but put in what you want me to react to. Alright, I'm kind of curious to see what it is. But, sorry guys, my eyes are bothering me a lot this podcast. Like, holy moly. Can't wait to get out of here and get some rest. But, what happens? Yes. Triple H basically was trying to recruit the Architect back to, you know, NXT. And I can understand that. You know, what are the things, you know, it's arguable, very debatable to see who's putting on the better shows between AEW and NXT so far. Alright, but even though both brands have been great, the problem with NXT is, yes, NXT has stars, but it doesn't have these big name stars. You know, I feel like WWE sees how AEW has huge stars on their main roster. Alright, they have huge stars, and they don't. And, you know, AEW has the Young Bucks, like I said, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho. The list goes on and on and on. Yes, NXT has superstars, but the main roster doesn't know all these guys. It makes sense. It honestly makes a lot of sense at the end of the day. Alright? But one of the parts that I really liked is when Triple H basically went on and saying how every time Rollins is trying to redefine himself and is, you know, struggling with something, that's when he comes along, which is true. You know, it was true because you guys remember, back in 2015, not even before that, Seth Rollins made his debut in NXT, right? When Seth Rollins was in NXT, he won the inaugural NXT championship. I forget who he beat, but he won the first ever NXT championship. You know, and he went on to hold it for nearly 300 days, right? Basically, almost the entire year. And then we see what the other side means. All right. Basically, Triple H also mentioned how the Shield. He also mentioned, how that allowed him to become WWE champion, and then, Intercontinental champion, Universal champion. You forget how Raw tag team. You forget how many titles Seth Rollins has held. Seth Rollins has held a very, very large amount of titles in his time. Very large amount of titles. So it was interesting. That's what I'm going to say. It was very, very interesting. All right. Basically, like I said, Triple H was trying to, convert Seth Rollins onto her side. It's honestly whatever at the end of the day. It really is. But the thing about it is, the interesting part is Triple H basically making the offer, and then the Undisputed Era come out. So Triple H basically said, either you're with me, Seth, or you're against me. Because they're really trying to build up this whole war thing with NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. They really want to make this into a academic war. Alright, which is interesting. Very interesting way to get things done. But Triple H coming out there tonight, like I said earlier, it felt forced. This legit felt forced. WWE just trying to bootleg off the success of what happened Friday with SmackDown, and then just not making it right. Just not making it right, man. Triple H was basically trying to get Seth Rollins to come over to SmackDown to NXT, and Seth looked very, very conflicted. Very, very conflicted, like he had no idea what was going on. And then seeing the Undisputed Era on Monday Night Raw, it looked absolutely fantastic. I love the Undisputed Era. Anybody knows how I'm a huge fan of the Undisputed Era. Alright? But we see what happens. But Triple H, asking Seth Rollins to come down to NXT, like I said, you have the issue, you see they're potentially trying to gain more firepower to go up against AEW, build their brand with bigger stars. You know what I mean? Seth Rollins, he goes on the NXT, and, that would basically be the most potentially what to do to get it. It would be a huge, huge statement. That NXT isn't playing around with AEW. Right? It would have been a huge statement. But if you look at it like this, Seth Rollins, one of his best moments ever was when he turned heel on the Shield, right? There's some people that thought Seth Rollins could turn heel tonight, or maybe he'll become a tweeter. Very interesting, all right? So many different directions to go with this. But we see Seth, and he's conflicted, and he doesn't know what to do. I'm going to say this right here, right now. This is the most interested I've been in Seth Rollins all year. Other than maybe probably winning the Royal Rumble. It's uninteresting. Because why? Why us? Why us? Why do we gotta be put through this nonsense? Alright? Why do we gotta be put through the burden of watching Raw every single week? I know there's gonna be people saying, oh, just don't watch. Don't give me that. No, don't give me that. Alright? Don't give me that at all. Don't piss me off like that. But we have Seth, right? And I told you guys, probably one of his biggest moments is when he turned heel on the Shield, right? When he turned heel on the Shield, what a fantastic moment, an iconic moment, honestly, in WWE history. And we saw where that led him. And Triple H mentioning how, every time Seth's in the dumps, that's when him and Triple H cross paths, right? So I absolutely love how they were mentioning that. Of course, Big Billy, of course it was a horrible show. Alright, Adam Cole vs. Seth Rollins did not save the show. I agree with you perfectly. But Seth Rollins, I'm trying to think if an NXT a move down NXT would make sense for him. Yes, we would be getting Seth Rollins versus Adam Cole, Seth Rollins versus Tommaso Ciampa, Seth Rollins versus Keith Lee, Seth Rollins versus Roderick Strong. I've been streaming for 50 minutes, I think. I think it's supposed to say in the corner how long we've been live, but 50 minutes. But Seth, we would get Keith Lee, he would get, Roddy Strong, and, Matt Riddle. Imagine a feud between Rollins and Matt Riddle. The list goes on and on and on. Damian Priest, Pete Dunne. There's so many names for Seth Rollins to feud against down in NXT. But you think about it with Seth, man. Doesn't make sense for Seth Rollins personally. Yes, it makes all the sense for NXT to try to get Seth Rollins. But does it make sense for Seth Rollins himself? I don't know. The one factor I was thinking about, actually two big factors I was thinking about if Seth Rollins goes to NXT is if Seth goes to NXT, you need a babyface to take his spot. Seth Rollins is probably the top babyface on Monday Night Raw. And even though he's been garbage. See, of course, yes. Of course, I agree with you, Big Billy. Alright? Of course. You see, I knew it. They're still doing Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins cage matches. Still doing those matches, man. Garbage. Absolute garbage. Like, who wants to watch that as a dark match? It makes absolutely no sense. No sense whatsoever. But, either way. Back to the whole thing about Seth and Bray. Or Seth and NXT. If you send Seth back down to NXT, who's going to take his spot? Like I said, no matter how bad Seth was as a babyface, alright? No matter how bad Seth was as Universal Champion, right? If you're going to switch brands with him, you need to find someone to fill his spot. Because he still was the top babyface of Monday Night Raw. And it's going to be no more than 2 minutes. Oh my gosh. Like, what, you had Bray Wyatt travel with the Raw brand just to give him a 2-minute cage match at the end of the show? Who won the match, Big Billy? Tell me who won the match. But I've been trying to think of options. I've been trying to think of options to take Seth's spot, and I've been blank so far. Yes, I was thinking maybe potentially Kevin Owens. But the thing is, Kevin Owens has not been utilized since that garbage feud with Shane McMahon was brought back up. He legit won Kevin Owens legit won Shane McMahon's contract in the ladder match, and it did nothing. It did nothing for him. Alright? Of course, yeah, alright. Bray should have won. At least Bray won. But even though it's still garbage. But, it can't be Kevin Owens. I'm thinking Aleister Black, but Aleister Black has been built up. Anybody that watches NXT knows Aleister Black could easily be the number one guy in that brand. Easily be. But WWE refuses to book him correctly. Who else? Ricochet? They're not going to make Ricochet the top babyface of Raw. I was thinking potentially, Randy Orton, but the thing is, Randy Orton's still here right now. There was rumors saying they was going to turn Randy Orton babyface. And I wouldn't mind a Randy Orton babyface, even though I think he works better as a heel. Honestly, it just doesn't really make sense. As great as that would have been for Seth, and we can still get it. We can still get it at the end of the day, but Seth, even though it's a great idea for NXT, it doesn't make sense for him. What about Becky Lynch? I know him and Becky are engaged. I don't know. I have no idea what plans they have to get married. If they plan to get married right now, I don't know. That's not really my business or my concern. But still, it would be interesting. One of the reasons why both Seth and Becky were drafted to Raw is because they're together. Becky was Raw Women's Champion at the time. Seth was Universal Champion at the time. Right? Becky still is Raw Champion now, and Seth's not, which is kind of funny. But It's just funny. It just doesn't make sense. All right. Thank you, Gina, for coming to the stream. I'll see you later, man. It just doesn't make sense from that perspective for Seth Rollins. It doesn't really. You're going to go back down full-time to NXT, be away from Becky. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. But that does get me to where we could see Seth turn heel. Because we saw Triple H getting into his head. We saw Undisputed Era getting into Seth's head. We did have Seth Rollins versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship tonight because we saw Seth challenge Triple H to make the match, and Triple H made the match right then and there. But still, it just doesn't make a lot of sense in that regard. It really doesn't. It's pretty stupid if you ask me. Alright? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's going to be interesting to see. And with the Seth Rollins heel turn I've been talking about, right? Seth Rollins did turn heel tonight. Here's what I would say. You do. If this does happen, I think you heard it here first. Easily at Survivor Series, right? I don't know what you're going to do. WWE, we did get some matches confirmed tonight. But I just don't know what the company plans to do with, trying to make Seth look cool, because we know WWE's been wanting to do that, and it failed. It backfired on them. Absolute garbage, if you're with me. But and I'm trying to think. I'm losing my train of thought. It's been a long day, guys. A real long day for your boy. But if you do the whole 5, I'm just thinking of the Survivor Series match, because we saw you did a 5v5 match at Crown Jewel, but now NXT is involved. Are you gonna do a 15-person match, 5v5v5? You could do that. There are other ways, but if you want, they could easily do that. It would be very interesting to see. What I think you should do is, no matter what happens at Survivor Series, you have Seth betray Monday Night Raw, right? He fights for Monday Night Raw, and then he betrays Monday Night Raw, and then he leaves. That's how you get Big Show. Not Big. Why the hell did Big Show come to my head? That's how you get Seth Rollins as a heel. It would be one of the biggest heel. He would easily probably be one of the biggest heels in the entire company, and he needs it because he sucks as a babyface. That's how you turn Seth heel. Go to Survivor Series. And I don't know if it's a 10-person tag team match, if it's 15 people, no matter what it is. Alright? Alright? Have Seth Rollins turn heel on his team at Survivor Series. And then right then and there, if NXT, what a moment that would be. If NXT wins the 5v5 match just because of that, they win the traditional Survivor Series match just because of that interference. Imagine that. That would be one way. That would be absolutely crazy. I'm going to be honest with you, Jessica. I have no idea what you're saying in the chat. No, I say. But the best logical explanation would be use the storyline to turn Seth Rollins heel. Alright? He's done enough as a babyface for now. Now we need him as a heel. Alright, he should be a heel and start rebuilding his character and his image in front of the fans. Alright? And Survivor Series is the perfect opportunity for that. This was garbage. We had Rusev versus Drew McIntyre. I don't know whose idea was to give us this garbage, but basically Rusev came out basically stating how his marriage was over. Bobby Lashley, if you want Lana, you can have her, but your ass belongs to me. Kind of a good line there by Rusev. But they pulled the old heel injury move. So we see Bobby Lashley come out, right? He comes out, Lana's next to him, and basically he says, as much as I want to give you the fight that you want, I have a groin injury. Alright? And he said specifically, not because someone hit him, not because he fell on it, nothing like that. It's because he was too busy using his groin to do dirty things to Lana. Alright? So there you have it. Once again, WWE is still promoting this garbage. Still promoting this sexy BBC, whatever. Bobby Lashley legit. You legit had Bobby Lashley come out there and say, "Oh, I sustained a groin injury from fucking your wife too hard." All right, that's basically what he was saying. Like, let's be blunt. Let's be blunt about it. All right, and it's garbage. It's legit garbage. After hearing a line like that, why would anybody care for this storyline? I didn't care about the storyline before. You're just giving me more reasons not to care about this storyline going forward. All right, but basically, Lana said, "Don't be afraid. We still have a replacement opponent for you," and it was Drew McIntyre. And it seems like Rusev's getting more and more over as the babyface each and every week. The Rusev chant, the Rusev Day chants are getting a little bit louder. So maybe eventually we'll see full. It's funny. That's just funny, man. Came to my mind. Anyway, back to my notes. This whole Bobby Lashley, Lana, Rusev stuff is pure garbage, like I said before. Still can't believe we're doing it. But they have Drew McIntyre versus Rusev. This wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a bad match. You still had Lana and Lashley watching on from ringside. I'm surprised they didn't decide to try to, film another sex tape in front of everybody. They could have easily done that. But who knows how bad that would have been. That would have been awful. But, basically, now I remember. Rusev had the match in control. I was surprised that Drew McIntyre took as much damage as he did. He looked exhausted. Alright, out of nowhere, we see Randy Orton come, and I saw Randy Orton hop the barricade, but the fans were a little bit late to it, but still, Randy Orton came, and he hit a devastating RKO. They came out of nowhere. I love Randy Orton's RKOs that come out of nowhere, man. Like I just need like a 30-minute compilation of Randy Orton just doing RKOs. Alright, absolutely beautiful. But Randy Orton hits the RKO, knocking him out. Excuse me, guys. But then Drew McIntyre, he gets out of the ring because you see Lashley's coming, and then Drew McIntyre's face told it all. It's basically how I feel about Raw every single week. He had a huge steak face, and it was bad. It was bad. All right, but it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with this going forward. All right, it's gonna be interesting to see. And I'm not talking about this Lana Rusev. And Lashley storyline. That's garbage. That's garbage. I'm talking about this building up. I'm talking about, building up Rusev to be a force on Raw. Like I said, if Rollins goes down to NXT, you need to have valuable members of your community and points that are willing to do work. I think Rusev can be a very valuable asset to Raw. Just like Aleister Black, just like Ricochet, just like Cedric Alexander. Guys that are not being used correctly. Alright? And once again, Drew McIntyre, what kind of direction does he have? It seems like the guy got nothing to do. Especially with a heel champion when he's a heel himself. Which wouldn't make any sense. Alright? But, yeah. Basically the best part of this match to me was Randy Orton's RKO. The match wasn't terrible or anything, dude. Just like, it's like, no. I was like, no, like, why are we seeing this in the first place? Ricochet also came out. This save, what was the name? The save, Ricochet. So I'm telling you right now, we're probably going to get a tag team match. Alright, us, Rusev and Ricochet, probably against Lashley and Orton coming in the future. Alright, it's going to happen. It's gonna happen next week, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. But probably the best part of this show, we had Becky Lynch meeting Shayna Baszler for the first time ever. This is a WrestleMania worthy bout. This is one of the biggest matches you could put on in your women's division right now. Hold on, let me put the key on. Anyway, I'm back. So basically, we see Charlie Caruso. She's interviewing Becky Lynch, talking about at Survivor Series how it's gonna be her, Baszler, and Bayley. All right, and they're making Bayley look like the outside, the third person in this, and I'm just like, ooh, that's part of me thinking maybe they'll have Bayley win. You know, this is maybe the best match on this card. Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Shayna Baszler. The only thing that was, kind of negative for me is Sasha Banks was in the match. Just because, I'd love to see Sasha Banks get in there, crack at Becky, and then trade it up with Shayna Baszler. Alright? But there's no time to react. There's really no time to react. Alright? Because basically, Becky Lynch states how this was. She stated without indirectly stating it. All right. Lynch called herself the target of 2019. She said Bayley's gonna come after her because she put Bayley's best friend Sasha, in the hospital after their amazing match of the year candidate from Hell in a Cell this year. And then basically, she also talked about being Ronda Rousey. And I think it was right after this we saw the mics change. All right, because out of nowhere, Shayna Baszler comes in and she's like, Charlie Caruso, I'm going to be the one running this interview now. I absolutely love it. The intensity, the tension, the conflict that's there, I absolutely love it. All right, Baszler told Lynch that she had been waiting a long time to meet her, but she also informed her that she's not Ronda Rousey. I don't really know what she meant, but I know she's a different person, but is that just a person from, I don't know. But she also said that one of Lynch's limbs will belong to her at Survivor Series when she pins or submits her. So Becky, you know how Becky is. She always got to respond. It's going to be interesting to see what she says on social media leading up to this match. Becky basically responding saying she hasn't figured out whether she respects the Queen of Spades or wants to slap her face off. Alright? She warned her that fighting Lynch, or Becky informed Baszler that fighting her would change her and that she's not taking her eyes out of SmackDown Bayley. Like I said, it's going to be interesting because Bayley's being viewed as the outsider here. Seems like this is more focused on Baszler and Baszler and Becky rather than Bayley. Bayley's the outsider even though she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. So part of me wants to believe that maybe they'll give a chance for Bayley to win. Maybe there'll be a chance in some way, shape, or form that Bayley can win. Alright. But Baszler said she was happy that they met. Very happy. And she basically told Lynch to bring her best so they can determine who the baddest woman at the planet is on Survivor Series. So they're taking Ronda Rousey's nickname. Wow. Really original, guys. Really original. See you, Jessica. Thanks for coming through, as always. Alright. This was a great segment. But like I said, the only thing I wish really is that Sasha was involved in this match, because who wouldn't want to see Sasha and Shayna Baszler go at it? I feel like that's another match of the candidate that we haven't seen yet. Alright, or that has yet to take place as of yet. Alright, but yeah, this was a great segment. It was simple, it was effective, it got straight to the point, and I love the stare down between these two at the end. I absolutely loving it. It's gonna be interesting to see how we get to Survivor Series from here. But we had the Street Profits and Humberto Carrillo versus the OC. Before the match, we saw AJ Styles and the OC came out. They basically said if anybody from NXT got in their way, they won't make it out of Full Sail. They won't make it out of Florida next time because Raw is their show. He also mentioned how the OC won the best tag team in the world trophy at in Crown Jewel, and basically how what was I gonna say? Basically how they're the best tag team in the world after what happened in Crown Jewel. They had their trophy at ringside. AJ Styles said funny, yes, this is their trophy. This is for winners. Winners get trophy, and I love this. The Street Profits came out with Humberto Carrillo. As much as I love the Street Profits, as much charisma that they have, this was a little bit cringe because I didn't know what Montez Ford was doing for half the time. The guy was acting like a weirdo. Alright. But we also saw Humberto Carrillo. He basically did most of the introductions for tonight's game. And it's funny, the guy knows what he's doing. Like, I might have to replace him on the kicking team. Like, I was like, what is this? What is going on? But this wasn't a bad match either. It's just nothing special here. Nothing special. I was like, why are we getting this match after all? It's a waste of time. It really just felt like it's like, why? We could be doing better things. We could all be doing better things for our life than watching the OC go up against Humberto Carrillo and the Street Profits. Even though I think the Street Profits are going to be big stars in WWE one day, if they're ever booked correctly, which questionable. Just 'cause I do SmackDown live reviews. They're live on my channel. You can easily go back and watch those at any time. So if you want to watch the SmackDown review, just go back and watch on the channel. It's live there for you to see. It's for your benefit. But Styles and crew picked up the victory. Basically, and the victory was kind of tainted, but we saw Styles, he dropped Carrillo with a powerbomb, scored the victory by using the ropes. Classic heel move, Styles using his environment moves to get the advantage. That was basically it there. At least the OC did pin the Street Profits. The Street Profits lose and they get pinned. They're the ones that get pinned. This is over. This is honestly over. They have no chance. Next up, yes, we have the Viking Raiders versus the Polo Boys. It was also confirmed tonight, like us getting Lesnar versus Mysterio at Survivor Series. We're also going to get Becky versus Baszler versus Bayley. It was also confirmed tonight that the Viking Raiders will be going up against the Undisputed Era and the Revival in a triple threat tag team match. That's actually pretty exciting. I like the sound of that. I like it a lot. But my problem with the Viking Raiders is they're still facing Enhancement Challenge. Why? What do they get? Well, we've seen this so much. And my mic felt great. But the thing about it is, we've seen this before. We've legit seen this before. They went up against the Polo Boys. Looks like somebody I could pick up out of my prep school, my old high school prep school. It's absolute cringe. I was like, why are we doing this at all? Alright, see you, Jessica. Thank you for everything. Like I said, the SmackDown reviews are live on the channel for you to see. But this match was like not even a minute. This match was really, really short. But afterwards, the Viking Raiders did cut a promo. Remember, they lost their undefeated streak. They were undefeated on the main roster until Crown Jewel. What a way to defeat their streak. Alright, wow, way to make it look important. And I'm starting to get really pissed off, guys. My mic keeps falling for no reason. No reason whatsoever. Anyway, the Viking Raiders took the mic afterwards, and basically they said even though they lost at Crown Jewel, it just basically just made them more come together as a team and made them want to build a whole new streak. All right, and they said that Carl Anderson their rivalry with the OC, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, is far from over. And also now they have to deal with the Undisputed Era and the Revival as Survivor Series. All right, I think the Undisputed Era is gonna win that match. If we're being honest, I love the Undisputed Era. All right, love the Undisputed Era. Oh no, I saw your comment, Jessica. I chose not to respond to it. But let's get out of here. Last but not least, Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins for the NXT Championship. All right. What can I say about this match? This match wasn't bad. It wasn't bad for the first time. It should have been on a bigger stage. Like I said, this is a WrestleMania-worthy bout between Rollins and Adam Cole. It's a match we all want to see. Basically, they hit their trademark stuff. They hit their signatures. They hit their major moves, and it looked good. But the thing about it is, the Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole match on Friday, the crowd was invested in the match from the beginning. The crowd was not as invested in this match until later on. All right. It didn't feel like the crowd did not feel like, oh, this was a championship bout. They didn't have the same energy that Cole and Rollins had going into this match. All right. And the thing about it is, I knew they were going to have Adam Cole beat Seth Rollins clean, and I knew Rollins wasn't going to beat Adam Cole for the NXT title. It's like they both knew it was going to happen. We both knew the Undisputed Era was going to interfere, and they did. Roderick Strong hit the flying knee. Came out of nowhere, hit that flying knee on Seth. I absolutely laughed my ass off. But, basically, you know, as the Undisputed Era came out, we saw Dominic, we saw Matt Riddle, Damian Priest, Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, almost all of the NXT superstars that were there on Friday, plus more. They came and they overwhelmed the Raw roster. But then more Raw superstars came out. We saw Ricochet launch himself over the top rope to take out almost everybody. We saw Keith Lee flying. Basically, the brawl continued as the show went off the air. So WWE just tried to defend themselves, really. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, WWE get out of this. You know? Because it looked too forced. It looked too forced. After the great show you had, it's like you guys, you know, tried too much to try to redo that here. And it just didn't work out in your favor. It just really did. It was just pure garbage. Pure garbage. And just played it simple, let's be honest. Alright? It's going to be interesting to see how they go forward with this. You know, honestly, they should have just looked at what went well on Friday and tried to build off of that. They tried way too hard to do this in their own way just by following the strict agenda. It didn't help them as much with tonight's show. That show wasn't awful, but it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. And I'm just happy that we got to see Adam Cole versus Seth Rollins, even though it should have easily been on a bigger stage. But then that's about all I got for you guys today, man. I'm going to get out of here. I am really, really tired, guys. If you guys could tell by the way I was acting. Hopefully, I'll have more edgy later in the week. But thank you guys for coming to this Raw review. Hopefully, there was no major issues with it. But just let me know in the comment section if there is any issues. But I want to thank Sariash for making this dope layout once again. I got some nice, cool things I'm adding for the podcast in the future. So, hopefully, you guys like that. If you guys haven't seen my SmackDown review, that is live on the channel right now. As always, guys, make sure to follow me on social media. The links are in the description. So, you guys want to talk wrestling, I usually like the live team. If you guys want to talk with me about pop culture, sports, let's talk. Other than that, that's about all I got for you guys today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Enable notifications by clicking the bell next to my name, Facebook TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Have a great night, guys.